So the process of learning, it's said that to learn the highest truth, and really it's to learn anything. A trade, chanting a mantra, anything. Shravana, manana, nididhyasana. Shravana is to listen. Manana is to contemplate, to roll it around. It doesn't just mean repeating it. We repeat a mantra, but it doesn't just mean repeating it. It means really working mentally to comprehend something. So you look at your own life experience, and then nididhyasana is live it. But the first thing you have to do in order to listen, what do you have to do in order to listen?
Be present.
Even more than that, what do you have to do in order to listen?
Be interested.
You have to be interested. You have to be interested. It's really in the world, especially today, the hardest thing in the world is to listen, and everyone thinks they're listening. But all we're hearing is our own idea of what's being said. We don't hear what's being said. We just hear our own idea of it. And when you see something, you only see your own idea of the thing that you're seeing. And when you smell something, you only smell your own idea of the thing that you're smelling. And when you taste, it's only your idea of it that you're tasting. And when you touch, it's only your idea of what you're touching. And so you live your life completely separated from anything other than your own idea about the thing. And you have to break out of that at some point. Or you just go from death to death to death to death, one after the other, thinking that you're living life. Huh? Who here wants to wake up? You think you're awake already. That's a thought. If you can't listen, then it's not so. If you can't be present, if you can't hear what's here, if you can't see what's here. Kirtan, the great thing about Kirtan, one of the great things about Kirtan is really it provides a beautiful structure. For one, it's so uplifting to the mind, but it provides a beautiful structure that helps us to learn to listen. Because you can tell, if you really are able to listen, you can tell if you're pronouncing properly, if you've got the proper melody. In other words, there's immediate feedback, because within you is the ability to recognize harmony and disharmony, harmony and discord, right? But you have to listen in order to see. So if I chant a note, Om, now you.
Om.
Very good. Now, how did you do that?
I was trying. A little more awake now.
Very good. You were listening first, and then Om. So let's chant together. Om. So you need to learn a couple of kirtans, and it helps you with your listening, and it helps you to wake up. And people around here know them. And instead of talking about yourself, Kartikeya knows them. You just ask him, could we chant one of these? Teach me one. Hari knows them. Shivadas knows them. Huh? Instead of gabbing, say, could we chant a kirtan together? Umadevi's learning them. And you need to do the same, by the way. Huh? I know them too. Instead of coming over to my office and talking about something, say, Swami, can we chant such and such?
That one, I thought I knew because they told me like 4, but then when someone else does it, it just sounds way better. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm missing something.
Yeah.
The way it's broken up and the way that the pace
Yeah,
is
yeah,
changed
yeah.
and
You don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And whenever you enter something new, you don't know it yet. For God's sakes. I don't know it. Can you say that?
Yeah.
Please do.
I don't know it.
Very good. Shy. In order to listen, you have to start with the beginner attitude. You have to start with, I don't know. And it has to be sincere. Please, dear.
It's funny. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Every day I'm so thankful to Swami Shiva Shankariyananda and Radha Chaitanya because I was worse than you when I got to the LA Center. I didn't know any of the chants whatsoever. And I was afraid to sing out because as Swamiji knows, he's been there.
Yeah.
If you can imagine an apartment building just being about maybe 20 yards there in the morning at 6 a.m. But one thing that really helped me to learn is that Swami Shiva Shankari, I was able to tune into how she sang because she had been doing this since the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
So she had every song down and she always did it the same way.
Yes.
And it was so easy to key into her.
Yeah.
And the other thing that helped was that the only instrument that was being played was her harmonium. And her harmonium was even better than her singing. And so it was very easy for me. I think it would have been more difficult for me if we would have had other instruments. Sometimes Radha Chaitanya would throw an instrument in, or sometimes Robert would come and do the drums. But I was able to key in just to the harmonium and to her. And that was so beneficial for me. But it just takes practice.
No, it takes an interest.
Yes. And that's what
It takes an interest. It doesn't just take practice.
Right.
People sometimes say it just takes time. No, it doesn't. It takes the resolve.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it takes time.
And the consistency was
And
so
here, and you should have an interest. You should
I
have
do.
an interest. Everyone
I do,
should
I
have an
do.
interest. Yeah, I feel that you do. Actually, I feel that you do.
It's been coming more to they're just fun. And one thing that was really cool that you were sharing one morning was it's a way to kind of battle the tamas or whatever it is. that's
Get you out of your
forced.
state.
Yes. So driving was nice, and then also I found that working at the chocolate tree, doing the 7 hours or whatever it is at the dishes, the coffee won't
Dish
drip.
after dish after dish after dish.
And the mantra. I mean, the mantra's good, but then at some point, like if I'm tanking, I was trying to do some kirtans, but I didn't know like enough of them to do them right.
Yeah.
So it was like they helped, but it was.
Yeah. So that should help motivate you to come back and say, hey guys, help me learn a few.
They're on YouTube too. You can put earphones in.
They are. But I really recommend ask people because you're chatty.
Yeah.
You love to gab and mostly you just talk about yourself. I did this, I did that. Instead, the way you turn that around, and you can turn it around and you can turn the whole darned ashram around just like this. Instead of wanting to chat, and the reason we're having Mauna Day today is because everybody just wants to talk, and then Hari wants to be quiet, so he leaves. He goes away from everybody. It's the craziest thing. You know, Hari can teach you kirtans. He knows almost every one of them. And you don't ask a question. I'm talking with everyone here. You want to talk about yourself. You've got to stop it. Hari walks away, and I'm over in the office talking with people.
Was that the inspiration for Mount Monday here?
Yeah, in order to learn to be quiet. But even better than that is to learn to chant. Even better. Even better. And then go sit in Durga and take the kirtan book and take some time. It's actually a practice to bring quiescence into the mind. And what you're wanting a break from is your story. Because that's what's running all the time, you see. It's your story that's running. That's what you're tired of. You're not tired of someone else. You're tired of your idea of them. Yes? You see that, right? You don't want to hear that anymore. And that's what you really want to be quiet. That's the mauna you're really craving for. Is inner peace, silence of the bubbling mind.
Yes.
And after a while, you see the person and then you have to listen to the whole tape. And that's why we want mauna practice. Yeah, Kirtan mantra helps greatly with that. And okay. So we'll take a couple of slokas this morning for the Gita. It must be related.
Yes.
Let's chant the Gita Dhyanam. O Bhagavad Gita, by which Arjuna was illumined by Lord Krishna himself, and which was composed of 18 chapters within the Mahabharata by the ancient sage Vyasa. O Divine Mother, destroyer of rebirth, who showers the nectar of oneness upon us. O Bhagavad Gita, my affectionate mother, on thee I meditate. All the Upanishads are the cows. The milker is the cowherd boy, Krishna. Arjuna is the calf. People of purified intellect are the drinkers. And the milk is the supreme nectar of the Gita. My salutations to the Lord, who is the source of supreme bliss, whose grace makes the mute eloquent, and the crippled cross mountains. Hari Om Tat Sat. Okay. We pick up from Thursday, and so it's been a few days. Lord Krishna is talking about the 3 levels of Purusha, of himself, or of the highest, the 3 levels. And the first 2 levels that we discussed on Thursday were the manifest and the unmanifest, the changing and the unchanging. And we'll see if we can connect back to that as we continue on. So from the unchanging comes this world. In fact, Swami Chittananda, just this first paragraph, because he so beautifully lays out the 3. Now the Lord describes the 3 aspects of the divine existence. One is the individual soul called the perishable. The second is the imperishable, or the Maya Shakti of the Lord. And the third is Purushottama, or the supreme being. The perishable comprises the whole world of changing forms, from Brahma down to the tiny blade of grass, all movable and immovable objects. So the animals and the rocks, all that can be thought of by the mind, all that is made up of the 5 elements, all that is changing, all that has names and forms, all that appears to the naked eye and what is described as the body, etc. And then all of this underlain by the immovable, unmanifest, that which is potential, exists as potential. And all... We were looking for something yesterday evening. The white, what do you call that?
Oh, tambourine.
Tambourine. And the white tambourine had disappeared. And we said, well, it exists somewhere, either in the manifest or the potential, the unmanifest. So, like that. Okay. And then what's described now is even beyond that. Purushottama is the term. So we'll pick up there. But distinct is the Supreme Purusha, called the highest self, the indestructible Lord, who, pervading the three worlds, sustains them. We understand what pervading means, right? Pervading. So coffee, for example, is pervaded by water. Pervading the three worlds sustains them. As I transcend the perishable and am even higher than the imperishable, and again, he's relating to the other two. So I am beyond the perishable. What does it mean? I'm not affected by it. Huh? Do you transcend the dream state? Do you transcend the dream character? Yeah? Yes. What does that mean? So you have the experience of the dream character, but are you affected by the things that happen to the dream character? No. Okay. And without you, where is the dream character? Does it still exist? No. So you're also the substratum for the dream character. You're also the basis for the dream character. You're the material cause of the dream character, and you're the enjoyer of the experience of the dream character. But are you affected by what the dream character does? No. The dream character dies. It's okay, right? It's okay. Sorry?
Oh, I had this dream once where I was like spitting because I had something gross in my mouth, and I woke up and I was just spitting all over my pillow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just thought of that.
As I transcend the perishable, so that's the idea, and am even higher than the imperishable. And this we talked about. The mind can't really grasp this, but directionally it can. It can say, okay, even higher than that unmanifest. Even higher than that unmanifest. So even the unmanifest, as it were, is involved in the generation of the world. The generation of the ideas, the generation of the thoughts. So beyond that, there is that which is uninvolved and is simply the substratum for it. Simply the underlier. So I am declared as the highest Purusha in the world and in the Veda. And Swamiji gives a really lovely analogy to see if this helps. He says the following analogy, he introduces it. He says it's inadequate, as most analogies are, but will enable us to grasp vaguely the distinction between the perishable and the imperishable Purusha mentioned in the previous verse and this supreme Purusha mentioned here. And then he says the drop in the cloud, so talking about water, the drop in the cloud is superior to the drop let loose. Why?
It's got options. Has it?
Beautiful. That's exactly it. So it still exists as potential, the drop in the cloud. Very good. So superior to. More subtle. More subtle. And you said it beautifully. It has options. It can choose where to fall, as it were. It can choose how to fall, as it were. Yeah. It could even be snow. Yes. So the drop in the cloud is superior to the drop let loose. The latter gets caught up in the process of samsara or world play, whereas the former can still escape that fate if the rain does not fall. He says, but even the drop in the cloud, and for that matter the dark cloud too, is in perpetual danger of falling. Hence, that also is not the state of supreme felicity. There is a state higher than that, the state of being, untainted even by the possibility of becoming. So the unmanifest is the seat of becoming. And he says there is a level of consciousness even higher than that. Even higher than that. Not involved in becoming. Not involved in becoming. One of the other ways to reflect on it perhaps is we talk also about the ocean. And Swamiji says like this. It would be said that the wave is in the ocean, but the ocean is not in the wave. The wave is in the ocean, but in other words, the wave is an aspect of the ocean, but the ocean is not an aspect of the wave. We can also consider the ocean, which gives a beautiful example, because ocean has depth, and at the surface is the wave, and below the surface, at some level of depth, is the potential to be a wave. Is it so? Yeah? But if the ocean is a few thousand feet deep, at the bottom of the ocean, does that aspect of the ocean even have the potential to be a wave?
At some point.
Actually, no.
Manifest.
If we have some understanding, it's still ocean, it's still water. It sustains the water above it, but it's not even in circulation. It's not even in circulation. So just an idea, just a way of perhaps relating to what's being shared. So absolute still consciousness, it sustains the highest Purusha. It still sustains. The lower Purushas are not possible without it. However, it is completely unaffected and completely uninvolved. Completely unaffected and uninvolved. What's being discussed here are 3 levels. And by the way, it's not really different than in the Christian tradition. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, interestingly. It's the 3. But these are all aspects of the one God. The mistake that we make when we start relating to God in front of us is, and here, sadhaka, upon hearing God, be one with God and everything is God, then it will be, okay, then this person over here spouting nonsense is God, so if I follow them, I'm fine, right? And I could say, well, yes, but you won't know it.
Who's that chanting this morning?
Yes, you're fine, because actually you're eternal, but you won't know it. Because you haven't related to the depth. And there's only the one, but there's depth. There's depth. And if you only relate to the surface, then you're fine, but you don't know it. I can't come up with a better way to say that. But the cause of your suffering is because you don't know it. Right? It's not because of who you are or you're not. It doesn't have anything to do with that. Tattvamasi, thou art that.
Knowing removes the fear. And the ignorance.
Yeah, knowing removes the identification with the waves. It doesn't even remove the fear, but it removes your involvement with it. Right? in the same way that you're aware of the clouds, but you're not the clouds. In the same way, you have the ability to look at the clouds. And so it's true to say that all is God. It is. And that also, understanding that, removes the identification with. But here now, it's not just a plain Jane, all is God, and we can walk around, and we do, How many people say all are one? And usually just done in order to dismiss something. But not understanding what it means. And here it's being shared, yes, all are one, but there's depth here. And this doesn't mean all are the same. It does mean all are of the same. And all are aspects of the same. And all are personalities of the same. Mm-hmm. And none are separate from each other or from the absolute. These are all correct. But to actually get it and to live it, it's necessary to recognize what Lord Krishna is speaking of here, which is the depth. And the release is identification with the depth while being engaged at the surface.
Unattached.
Right? Unattached, but attached.
Right. Attached. Being connected.
Attached, unattached.
Right.
Or you'd say the other way around.
Detach, attach.
Yeah, detach, attach. So the allegories that are shared are really along this line, of course, which is to help us to get it and to recognize what it is that we're wanting to connect with. Mauna, of course, is one of the practices of helping us to connect with it. Many practices. But when we're engaging all the time in this chit-chat, you say you don't have any opportunity to, because you're so wrapped up in the relative reality that you don't have the capacity to engage with the absolute reality. So teacher can say, all is God, and you can say, well, I'm talking to God. Yeah, but you're not really relating. And therefore you're not free.
You made a comment the other day about talking about it instead of doing it or living it.
Right. And it's, and there's no judgment here, but there is, there is this. Come on.
It gets exhausting. It's a track and it's tiring.
Oh, indeed. Indeed. Okay, so we'll come back. We've got 2 more sutras we'll cover in the morning to close the chapter. But the concept here, and it's philosophy. But can it be practiced? It's philosophy, but can you practice it? It's this, right? Would you read that, Gayatri?
The way to God is through continuous practice of His presence every moment of your existence, and by deep meditation.
Which are both practices of connecting with this Purusha, Purushottama, the deepest, right? First reflecting and practicing the presence, which can be practiced inside and outside both. And with this knowledge, and in the next sloka he says, I've given you the kingly secret. Once again, I've given you the great secret, because if this resonates, if we've come to the point where we recognize, yes, it's so, it makes sense, and it's so. I don't understand all the aspects of it, I don't understand the details of it, and this mind really can't, but it can recognize, yes, this is the truth. And then Nididhyasana, Yeah, we do our best to practice it. And our practice is our life. So you can say live it, but we practice it. We practice it in the moments. And the identification with the waves, with the ephemeral, with the changing, it really does fall away. And you find yourself non-identified, but amidst the waves.
Yes.
No longer being buffeted about by them. No longer being thrown about. You know, the motherhood and kids retreat is a very good one to see about that, because waves are all over. The waves are playing and screaming. So beautiful. Far more beautiful when one is non-identified with the waves and not being tossed about by them and allowing them to move through. Yeah. Detach, attach. Detach, attach. So detached from this movement, recognizing this movement.
Yes.
This movement is an aspect of God. It's an aspect of the divine. Not separate.
Yes.
Not separate.
Same with the goodness.
Okay. Any other comment or observation or question? Okay. There's nothing more important than this. There's nothing more important than this. Nothing. 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 Know this, really know it. Not just say you know it. Know it and you're free. Know it and you're free. So it's worth dying to know it. Those fears that arise about death or other things, it's worth dying to know this. That was the inner dialogue.
They disappear.
No, I'm not living this way anymore. Oh. Okay. Let's close. Final prayers. It's not worth living if you don't know. Because living in the other way, it just results in death. Nothing comes of this life. Nothing comes of this life. Nothing's lasting. You try to do this and try to do that, and okay, you get there for a moment, and then but if you could participate with the waves and bring the light and bring and your light,
That's the beautiful part.
And your actions, and but be unattached to the waves and what happens in the waves, accepting.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, let's close final prayer in RT. It's short. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mukshiyamam Mritat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mukshiyamam Mritat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mukshiyamam Mritat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, let us abide in Thee forever and ever. On below Sacred Shivananda Majaki, and for all of the saints and sages of all the traditions. Okay, let's rise for our tea.